What if one of the biggest secrets of the 2026 Iran war was not inside Iran, not inside Israel, but hidden deep inside the deserts of Iraq? Imagine this. A local shepherd notices unusual helicopter activity in a remote desert area. Military vehicles appear where nobody normally travels. Soon after, Iraqi forces move in to investigate, and suddenly intense airstrikes erupt in the middle of the desert. At first, nobody fully understood what was happening, but now reports from major international media organizations, including the Wall Street Journal, claim that the mysterious location was actually a secret Israeli military outpost used during the 2026 Iran war. If true, this would reveal an entirely hidden side of the conflict, a covert military network operating quietly across the Middle East while the world focused on the direct fighting between Iran and Israel. So why would Israel allegedly establish a secret base inside Iraq? How was the operation discovered? And why did Iraq suddenly become one of the most strategically sensitive locations in the entire war? Let's break it down. The 2026 Iran war changed the entire region. The 2026 Iran war rapidly transformed into one of the most dangerous military crises the Middle East had seen in years. The conflict expanded beyond direct missile exchanges and air operations. Regional military activity increased across multiple countries, including Iraq, Syria, the Gulf region, and parts of the Eastern Mediterranean. According to international reports, both military alliances and regional security systems came under enormous pressure during the conflict. Iraq found itself in an especially difficult position. The country was not officially a direct participant in the war. However, Iraq already hosted complex regional dynamics: U.S. military facilities, Iran-aligned armed groups, important logistical routes, strategic desert regions near regional borders. This made Iraq one of the most sensitive locations in the entire conflict. And according to recent reporting, that sensitivity increased dramatically after Israel allegedly established a covert operational position inside western Iraq. Why Iraq's western desert was important? Military analysts say Iraq's western desert region offers unique strategic advantages. The area is massive, sparsely populated, and extremely difficult to monitor continuously. For decades, military forces from different countries have viewed the region as operationally valuable because of its geography and isolation. Reports indicate that the alleged Israeli installation was positioned there shortly before the conflict escalated in early 2026. According to people familiar with the matter quoted by international media, the outpost served multiple purposes: logistical coordination, emergency response support, operational communications, search and rescue readiness. The reports claim Israeli special forces and rescue teams were positioned there in case aircraft involved in operations over Iran required emergency support. This would have significantly reduced response times during long-range missions. Experts say modern air campaigns require not only aircraft and weapons, but also support infrastructure capable of handling emergencies, navigation, intelligence coordination, and rapid recovery operations. That is reportedly where the Iraq desert installation became strategically important. The incident that exposed the operation. One of the most dramatic moments connected to the reports happened in early March 2026. According to Iraqi state media cited by international newspapers, a local shepherd noticed unusual helicopter flights and military activity in the desert area. The observations raised suspicion. Iraqi security forces were then reportedly dispatched to investigate the location. What happened next shocked many observers. According to Iraqi officials quoted in multiple reports, the Iraqi units encountered intense fire and aerial attacks during the operation. One Iraqi soldier was killed and others were injured. Iraqi military officials later stated publicly that the force they encountered appeared highly advanced and supported by air power. Lieutenant General Qais al-Mohammadawi reportedly described the incident as involving a force operating beyond the capabilities of the Iraqi units present at the scene. At the time, confusion surrounded the identity of the forces involved. Now, according to recent reporting by the Wall Street Journal, the confrontation may have been connected to efforts to protect the covert installation from discovery. Why Israel allegedly needed the base. One major challenge in the 2026 conflict was distance. Military operations involving Iran required extremely long-range air activity. Analysts note that long-distance missions place enormous pressure on pilots, logistics, communications, and emergency response systems. The reported Iraq base allegedly helped solve several operational problems at once. First, it brought support teams geographically closer to Iran. Second, it provided emergency rescue capabilities in case aircraft encountered problems during missions. Third, it reportedly allowed Israeli special operations personnel to remain positioned near potential operational zones without requiring permanent large-scale deployment. Experts say modern warfare increasingly depends on flexible, temporary operational sites rather than traditional massive military bases. That appears consistent with the descriptions provided in recent reports. Iraq's extremely complicated position. The situation also highlighted Iraq's difficult geopolitical reality. During the conflict, Iraq was balancing relationships with multiple powerful regional and international actors. The country had to manage ties with the United States, economic and political relations with Iran, internal security concerns, the presence of armed groups, growing regional military tensions. This created enormous pressure on Iraqi leadership. International reports suggested Iraqi officials wanted to avoid direct involvement in the war while preventing the country from becoming a wider battlefield. That balancing act became even harder as military operations across the region intensified. Some analysts described Iraq as one of the most strategically exposed countries during the conflict because events involving multiple regional powers were unfolding simultaneously inside or near Iraqi territory. Why many regional groups showed restraint. Before the conflict escalated, many observers expected regional armed groups aligned with Iran to become far more active. However, reports throughout the war suggested many groups acted cautiously. According to analysts cited in international reporting, several organizations feared that direct large-scale escalation could expose their leadership structures and strategic positions to precision targeting. This reportedly contributed to a more restrained approach than many experts initially expected. Iraqi political leadership also appeared focused on preventing wider destabilization inside the country. Some reports suggested Iraqi officials encouraged armed factions to avoid actions that could pull Iraq fully into the regional conflict. That restraint may have prevented the situation from expanding even further. A new era of hidden warfare. One reason the alleged Iraq-based story attracted so much attention is because it reflects how modern warfare is changing. Today's conflicts are no longer fought only through visible front lines. Modern military operations increasingly involve covert logistics hubs, intelligence coordination centers, temporary desert installations, cyber operations, drones and satellite surveillance, rapid response special forces. Military experts say future conflicts may rely more on flexibility, mobility, and hidden infrastructure than traditional permanent bases. The alleged Iraq installation appears to fit that pattern. Instead of large visible troop deployments, modern militaries often prefer smaller, highly specialized operational sites capable of supporting fast-moving missions with minimal visibility. That approach can reduce exposure while increasing operational flexibility. Regional reactions and international attention. The reports immediately generated enormous discussion across the Middle East. For many observers, the idea that a secret Israeli installation allegedly operated inside Iraq during the war was highly surprising. Others argued the reports demonstrated how interconnected modern Middle Eastern security dynamics have become. The story also renewed debate about Iraq's future security position and the challenge of maintaining neutrality during major regional confrontations. Meanwhile, military analysts around the world viewed the reports as another sign that the 2026 Iran war extended far beyond direct missile exchanges. According to multiple international reports, military activity during the conflict stretched across numerous countries and involved both overt and covert operations. That broader regional dimension may ultimately become one of the defining characteristics of the conflict. What this story reveals about the 2026 war. Whether viewed as a covert operational success, a geopolitical warning sign, or evidence of changing military strategy, the alleged Iraq-based story reveals something important. The 2026 Iran war was not confined to one battlefield. It became a conflict shaped by regional geography, intelligence networks, strategic positioning, logistics, and hidden operational planning. And perhaps most importantly, It demonstrated how modern wars increasingly operate in the shadows as much as in public view. A remote desert area, a shepherd noticing helicopters, an investigation that turned into a deadly confrontation, and a story that eventually revealed a much larger strategic picture. The Middle East has seen many conflicts over the decades, but the events of 2026 may be remembered as the moment when covert regional operations became just as important as visible military power. And if the recent reports are accurate, then one of the most important hidden chapters of the war was unfolding quietly in the deserts of Iraq.